Hey, hello there. Welcome to Talking with Tony. Today, it's my distinct privilege to welcome back Daniel Cummings, our TNT lead film critic. Daniel, thank you so much. War Eagle to you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
War Eagle, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
At this time every year, we have you, and we usually share our frustrations on Auburn football. I know that A&M game was probably pretty important to you being in Texas. It would have been nice to get a win over the state that you currently reside. I have so many complaints about the offense and about play calling. These coaches know more football than me, but I just think we're making it a little more difficult than we need to, and we should have. We had two downs to get 1 yard against A&M, and we decided to attempt to throw the ball twice. I think we rushed the ball maybe 8 times in the game, and we have a guy who in Cobb who leads the SEC in more than 40 yards rushing, of rushes. So I mean, I could go on and throw out some more stats. A&M's 13th against the rush in defense. When we do pass, we don't get Cam Coleman enough touches. I could go on and on, but I think you probably share in my frustration.
Definitely, and it's particularly painful because my manager and several of my coworkers are A&M alumni, and it's tough dealing with them after that. But even they are not particularly happy. I think that the way that Auburn performed, they would have liked to have pretty thoroughly walloped us, but they just beat us by one touchdown, and that was not a very good showcase for them either.
Now, our defense plays very hard, and I hope that they continue doing that, though at some point their spirit may be broken as well.
Which we've seen in years past. The defense will get us the ball back and then be back on the field 2 minutes later, which is really tough to watch.
Okay, we have to talk movies, but I do want to say that we're going to roll the football panel's picks. And this is something similar to what we did when we had Daniel last year during the football season. I want to give everybody's 5 stars. I'm 12 and 10 on the year, but I'm 4 and 1 with my 5 stars. My 5 star, don't laugh, folks. I'm going with the Gators +7 against Hook'em Horns against Texas. I think this is Florida's last stand. I think this is it. I think they've played an incredibly difficult schedule. Speaking of defense, they've got a great defense. They've had a little bit of time to prepare for this game against Texas. This is their final stand, I think. So we'll go with the Gators +7 as my 5 star. I'm only picking two other games. I'm picking North Carolina +14 against Clemson because this reminds me of 1981. Clemson won the national championship. They had to go to North Carolina and beat a really good North Carolina team. They did 10-8, but it was tough. And I'm thinking that North Carolina may put forth a similar effort. They'll need to play a lot better than they played against TCU. And I'm picking one professional game. And this is the cool thing about what Jake does finding footage, but this is a rematch of the 1977 wild card game. It wasn't a wild card game. It was actually AFC divisional playoff game. It was held on Christmas Eve. And Burt Jones was the fabulous quarterback for the Colts. He'd played at LSU. This is one of the top 10 passers all time, throwing quarterbacks in SEC football history. But as a professional, his career got off to such a great start, but then he had shoulder injury after shoulder injury after shoulder injury beginning in about 78, 79, and he never was the same, and his career was shortened. But he had a really good Colts team, but they fell to the Raiders in double overtime on Christmas Eve in a game that's famously known as the Goes to the Post, a play that happened at the end of regulation for the Raiders. Ken Stabler was their quarterback. Of course, he's University of Alabama fame. But that got the game into overtime, and then just 43 seconds into the second overtime, once again, Stabler and Casper connected. That was not the goes to the post play, but it was a 10-yard touchdown pass, and that clinched victory 37-31. Jake will find a good scoreboard shot there. It's kind of famous. It's one of the greatest games in NFL history, and if you're ever watching ESPN when they don't have the live programming that they need, sometimes right around the Christmases and Christmas days, they will usually replay that game under NFL's greatest games. It's well worth seeing. I want to run down the panel. Danny is 24 and 30. He's 2 and 3 and 5 stars. His 5 star, he's with me, Florida +7. That shocked me. John coming off a tough week. He's 26 and 28, but he's 4 and 1 in his 5 stars. His 5 stars, the Philadelphia Eagles -5 at home against the Broncos. Fred is 22 and 32, 2 and 3 and 5 stars. His 5 stars, the Jets +2 against another team from Texas, the Dallas Cowboys. Stormy, 22 and 32. He's 3 and 2 in his 5 stars. He goes opposite of Danny and I. He takes Texas -7 for his 5 star. And Kevin, who is 21 and 33, 1-4 is 5 stars. He's with the Dallas Cowboys -2 against the Jets. We'll run down everybody's picks at the end, or well, actually, we'll have them running on the screen for you. I will say this. The panel is struggling. I'm not struggling so much, but the panel is struggling. I hope that they all have a good week. Now it's time. Daniel's been very patient. Daniel, I saw you quoted in a new release in a book that just came out. It was a sensational quote. And yes, sir, that winter wind. Outstanding book. That's Jake Barton's favorite book as well. Thank you for the support of that. And I know that you've started it. Last time I talked to you, which I guess was yesterday or so, you're about 40 pages in.
Yes, I actually just got through essentially the before section, and then it flashes forward, and I have not read any more yet. Last night I wasn't able to, but don't worry, I'll get to it within the next couple of days and probably be done within the next 4 to 5 days or so. It's great so far. I'm loving it.
Well, I really appreciate that. I use the past for purposely to set up to where we get to the end of Fall and Recover, and we learn Stephanie's fate, and we learn Miles's mom's Celeste's fate. But I went back in time to develop a little story about the orange crayon that Stephanie used as she tried to minister to the kids in Chile, as well as the story about a dog getting loose in Noonan, and that was a happy ending. We'll come back to later on in the book, that'll make even more sense. And I think it'll be very touching. I always appreciate your support of my books. You've read the first two and you're on your way to tackling the third one. And it means a lot to me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see how this one turns out. And I was very, very happy to see how things turned out with the dog as well. Not to spoil anything, but I was afraid I was going to lose some sleep over that. And I had to finish that story before I went to sleep.
Well, there'll be a special announcement on the steps of Noonan High School in, I believe, 2031 or so, and then that dog story will come back to life again. So that and a story with an alligator almost getting one of Miles's friends, David Rations. So you have there's a lot of good stuff still to come. Can we begin with Chloe's what I think is going to be a blockbuster, and it's already getting Best Picture talk. I think it's the favorite. I think you would categorize it as the favorite, but it's Hamnet. Your thoughts early on? This movie won't be released for a while still. Thanksgiving night, I believe, is its release, but a lot of build up on this movie.
Absolutely. And it has kind of run the festival junket at this point, and it's doing really well. A lot of really positive buzz coming out. And I'm really excited about it for a couple of reasons. Chloe Zhao is an incredible filmmaker, but I can't say that anything that she's made has really resonated with me to this point. I didn't love Nomadland, and then she went the Marvel route and made The Eternals, which I really did not like at all. And I'm thrilled that she's been able to recover after that because people didn't love The Eternals. And I'm glad that she didn't keep chasing the paychecks. She went back to much smaller scale film and is going back to making something that will hopefully be worthy of awards. And also, it's great to see Paul Mescal take on a role like this one. He's an incredible actor, and I think he's been a bit wasted in some roles that he's had in the past couple of years. And so I'm hoping that it delivers as much as they're saying, because right now it's getting more buzz than pretty much anything.
Well, he's become a favorite of the major awards. Paul has, and can Jesse be the compliment actress for him that he's needed to push over the top for a potential Best Actor award?
I think absolutely. Jessie Buckley is one of my favorite actresses working today. I think she's incredibly underrated. And I think with some roles in the past couple years, like with Maggie Gyllenhaal's directorial debut, The Lost Daughter, as well as Women Talking in 2023, I think that she might really be bound for many nominations in the future. And I would not be surprised if that starts with this movie. It just seems like this is going to be a really solid package. It seems like it's going to be above the line, performing really well with the acting categories as well as Best Picture and probably Best Director. It'll probably see 5 to 10 nominations, it seems like.
That's where I would be Thanksgiving night. Tara's actually got a football game with the University of Memphis. I believe they're playing Tulane. That's who they played last. I think they might play Navy actually on Thanksgiving night. But real soon after that, I'm going to be there and I will probably see it multiple times, which is something that you have done here in the last week or so because one battle after another just came out. And this is a sensational movie from Warner Brothers. Paul Thomas Anderson. You are a fan of Paul Thomas Anderson.
I'm about the biggest fan there can be of Paul Thomas Anderson. You and me, actually, one of the first movies we ever went to together was Licorice Pizza back at four
Yes.
years ago. And that was the last movie he released. He takes his time. Every single release feels very eventful to me. He's taken 5 years between movies before, and every single time you know he has a movie coming, it's something that's been on his mind for decades. And this is something that he's been working on for 20 years. It's based on very loosely on a Pynchon novel, which came out decades ago. And he's essentially interpreted it into modern day, into like right here and now, 2025. And he's been working on it pretty much incessantly on the screenplay for decades. And it's really come into formation in the past several years with the budget that it needed from Warner Bros., which is incredible to see. This guy getting a film with a budget that is twice as large as the box office gross of his highest grossing movie. That's crazy to me, and I'm so happy that he got to make it.
He puts Leonardo DiCaprio in there, and Leonardo means big bucks at the box office. So I'm hoping that this is one of those deals where we get one of those movies that are nominated for the Best Picture and is one of like with the two or three movies that we can actually see winning Best Picture, and yet it also performs extremely well at the box office. And I think that's what he's going to have here.
I think so, but I have already seen the headlines after the opening weekend about how it's going to be a box office failure.
Uh,
I think it's going to be a modest success if you understand what Warner Bros. Is doing with their entire slate of movies this year. They've been setting records with the financial success of movies like Final Destination Bloodlines, the Minecraft movie, Sinners, F1. They've been killing it financially. And I think it's worthwhile for them to give an auteur filmmaker like PTA this kind of budget, knowing full well that it's going to be really hard for it to break even, given that it would probably have to make well over 200 million to actually break even. But it's going to show up huge at the Oscars, and it's giving them a really well-rounded slate of films from legendary filmmakers like PTA, along with the popcorn stuff like F1 and like Minecraft movies. So even if it doesn't have a resounding success, I think it's serving its purpose for Warner Bros. Really well.
we went and saw Final Destination, and I'm kind of done with that whole deal. I've enjoyed F1. It exceeded my expectations. I guess it's not something worthy enough for Best Picture. Maybe it'll be in some sound editing, who knows? But your thoughts on F1?
I loved it. Me and the wife went to see it together. It takes a lot to get her out to the theater, but apparently Brad Pitt and racing will do it. And she
Yep.
loved it. She absolutely loved it. Like I think she liked it even more than I did, and I was really blown away by it. I think that at this point, Joseph Kosinski, the director of Top Gun Maverick, he's kind of found his niche, which is these summer blockbusters that are really attractive to dads in particular, and he is incredible at it. I do think that it could pick up a handful of nominations and things like editing, sound, a couple of technical awards, but yeah, I think that we need movies like that every summer.
Catherine Bigelow is back, and a movie that, yeah, already thumbs up from you. Released October 10th on Netflix, I believe. A House of Dynamite. Your thoughts here?
I really hope it's great. Catherine Bigelow, I think, is really one of the great filmmakers in history. She doesn't get as many accolades as I think she should from the audience. Critics certainly have been in love with her films in the past. She was the first woman to ever win Best Director back in 2009 for The Hurt Locker. And she is just an absolutely phenomenal filmmaker. And this movie has a great cast. It has a really intriguing plot. I haven't even seen the trailer, and I don't really want to. I would love to go in kind of cold, but I think that it has the bones to be a really great movie, and I'll definitely go in with high hopes.
She is sensational. There is a movie being released on Christmas Day that I have high hopes for. I was initially not crazy about Timothy Chalamet, but the more work that I see of his, the more impressed that I am of him. And I thought that the Bob Dylan portrayal was really, really much better than I anticipated it being. This time around, we get him for Marty Supreme. This is from A24 Studios. This has got to be a movie that's going to not be nominated eventually for the Best Picture because when you put a Timothy Chalamet in there, he's going to be nominated for Best Actor, and that will help, I think, drive it on to be nominated for Best Picture. I don't know if it's a contender to win, but I expect for it to be active in the award season.
I definitely agree, and nobody has seen it yet. It hasn't been running the festival circuit at all, so we don't have any initial reactions. But it's from Josh Safdie, who, with his brother, made Uncut Gems a few years ago, which critics were crazy about. I was crazy about. And you're right about Chalamet. I think that he's really won over everybody in the past couple of years. When he initially showed up, he was kind of a pretty boy. It seemed like the female crowd liked him a lot, but he had to win over men. And I think particularly with the Bob Dylan performance, as well as just showing that he takes his craft so seriously. And he's really highlighting not just artistic talent, but hard work. And I think everybody's loving that. Everybody's rooting for him at this point, and he's definitely being primed to show up over and over and over again at the Oscars with a nomination and eventually a win or two.
Best actor category could just be absolutely phenomenal. If we're right, I think you're with me, but if we're right about Paul in the Chloe in movie, and I'm right about Timothy and Marty Supreme and Leonardo in the movie that's out right now, One Battle After Another, you have Ethan Hawke appearing in a movie called Blue Moon. Dwayne Johnson is getting a lot of thumbs up praise, which I'm having a hard time. I'm going to have to see this the Smashing Machine. You have anything to add to that? That movie will be released in, I think, in really right around the corner. It's early October for that. Maybe next, not this Friday as we're doing this, but potentially the following Friday. You have any scoop on this film because he's getting praise.
So I just mentioned Josh Safdie. This one is directed by Benny Safdie, his brother. It would be wonderful to see them both, two brothers, in the best directing category. I'm very excited about the Smashing Machine. I've been hearing just the best things about The Rock's performance. I've never been high on his acting, but I've heard that he just really kills it. I think the trailer looks phenomenal. I think that if he can show up and not be put to shame by Emily Blunt, that will be a win. And it does, from all accounts so far, seem like they're not just blowing smoke. It seems like his performance is actually great, and I can't wait to see it. I'll be rooting for him to be great. This was not on my bingo card, but it seems like people are reacting really well to it so far.
Our producer Jake Barton will tell you I'm a huge Emily Blunt fan, and I will go to the movies to see a bad movie just to see her on the big screen for a couple of hours. So even if I'm not thinking this is going to be because I will be surprised. I'm with you on The Rock, but uh, opportunity to see her and maybe he will win me over. Maybe he'll prove me wrong. I mentioned Ethan Hawke and I've referenced Blue Moon. This is a Sony film that'll be coming out in mid October. I read about it. It sounded kind of interesting to me. Is this a movie that you could see potentially as a Best Picture nominee?
It would have to be one of like the number 9 or 10 slots. One of the ones that just kind of ekes by that's unexpected. I'm thinking something like Nickel Boys last year, which a lot of people really loved, but nobody ever thought it was going to eke out a win. It is Richard Linklater, who's definitely in critics' favor. He made Boyhood, he made the Before trilogy, he's made some really
Mhm.
phenomenal stuff. This, however, we do have a little bit of a window into how it's going to perform because it has already seen the light of day at, I think, Toronto International Film Festival earlier this month. And the responses were good. Not great, but good. And so I think that it could barely make it. It all depends at this point, as we know, on how they campaign for it. They can campaign hard enough, the studio can campaign hard enough to get it in, but I don't think they're ever going to get it into the top five most likely to win.
What about him? He accelerates past the performance of the movie, right? As an Ethan Hawke.
I agree with that. However, he's been turning in great work for 30 years and he very rarely gets nominated. Now, I could go and prove myself wrong, but I want to say he's only been nominated 3 times or so. I could be wrong on that, but I certainly feel like he's given us more great performances than have actually been recognized by the Academy. But that being said, he's getting to the age where at this point he's accumulated so much clout in the industry that it's kind of like a Will Smith situation where he might just get in based on the resume, like we've talked about before. And I think you were pretty hard pressed to find better resumes than what Ethan Hawke has built up over the years.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but he's out with Black Phone 2 in October as well, correct? And that's a movie that I'm actually looking forward to seeing because I thought the first one was done extremely well. And that gets me back into the theater. Now, you could be disappointed and might have said, when I'm leaving there, I might look at whoever I'm with saying, they should have just stuck with the first one because I'm not crazy about sequels at the theater, but especially at number seven and number eight. But if this is done in the neighborhood of the first one, then I'm excited about it.
So, same director, same writer, same cast. Early word is it's better than the first one.
Whoa.
I'm not wanting to bite because I know I can be disappointed if I let my hopes get up, but it's already been screened for a lot of people and they're saying it holds its own and is even better than the first one, which is wild to me because I loved that first movie a lot.
And the brother and the sister are back from the first one as well.
Yep.
Just it's not often that we know this. It's not often that sequels are better than the original. Some might argue Godfather 2 was better than Godfather, but it's hard to find a sequel that's better. So the fact that that's kind of being talked about, stirred around a little bit, that has me a little more excited than I was, say, 90 seconds ago.
Right. I'm really excited about it.
Frankenstein is one of two Netflix movies that, when I was doing my research, potentially could end up in those top 10 movies. It's being released within a week of The House of Dynamite, another Netflix film. This is October 10th and 17th of The House of Dynamite going first. Now, tell me about what you think about this edition of Frankenstein.
I'm excited about it. The movie we met at was Guillermo del Toro's Nightmare Alley. And so I'm always going to show up for Guillermo del Toro's movies. I think that his use of practical effects, his use of makeup instead of CGI, you're just always going to get a better looking movie than pretty much anything else that's coming out these days. That being said, I think that he struggles a lot as a writer, in my opinion. His stuff sometimes fails to cut very deep. It looks really beautiful, but it rings a little bit hollow. So I'm interested to see if this movie is going to bring anything new to the Frankenstein story, or if it's just something that he's had on his mind since he was a kid and he read the book and he's just excited to capture it in his own image. We'll see. But I will definitely show up opening day and I'll go see it if it's showing at a theater near me as opposed to just on Netflix.
Okay, good. But I don't believe that's the case. I think here, Netflix will be the opportunity. I can't remember movies that were Netflix like coming out in this theater in the local theaters where we are. Do you Are you aware of that?
Yeah, I've seen a couple of Netflix movies in theaters. In fact, the last Guillermo del Toro movie, Pinocchio, that was the last,
Oh,
I believe, in 22. I got to see that in theaters. I got to see Glass Onion in theaters. This was back when I was spoiled because I was in Nashville and they just had,
everything.
right, they had everything. And so I'm not optimistic about my chances here in Texas. It could happen, but I'll definitely keep my ear to the ground.
There is an international film that's getting some buzz for potential nomination to the Best Picture. It's Portuguese and German. It's Secret Agent. It's from Neon. Um, there's an actor in this who is a talented guy. I can't pronounce his name. It's Wagner Mura or something. He could be also. I mentioned Timothy earlier, and I mentioned Paul and Leonardo and Ethan and Dwayne. He might end up in that Best Actor top five as well.
I agree. I think this one could perform in a couple of different categories, and I'm really excited about it. Everything that I've seen about it looks to me like kind of a throwback to the 70s era thrillers that I just am really excited about it. I hope it delivers because the early buzz has been great. And you're right, I can't pronounce his name either, but he's a phenomenal talent.
Um, an actress who's kind of like the head. Starts with a R. It's Sentimental Value. It's another Neon. It's coming out in November. Is it Renata, I believe is her
I know
name.
you're talking about. She was in A Worst Person in the World.
Yes, and
Director. Yeah.
this has got some buzz. I'm kind of staying on the Neon. I guess what we would say umbrella here. This one seems to have a little bit of momentum behind it right now as well.
Definitely. This is a filmmaker who already has a precedent of being nominated, Joachim Trier, who had something in 2021, Worst Person in the World. The response to this one from critics is about as enthusiastic as a response can be. I believe it won the Cannes Award at the Cannes Film Festival earlier this year, and people are just really head over heels for it. I don't think it will capture the masses well enough to be a front runner, but I'm really excited to see it nevertheless, and it could perform in a couple categories.
Focus Features is going to have a movie released in October with Emma Stone, and I'm not positive how we pronounce it. Is it Bujonio? How we say this?
I've been saying Begonia.
Begonia. That sounds a whole lot better.
I could be
Yeah. Let,
wrong.
let's go with that. What can you tell us about this? Because we all know she's sensational.
Right. So Yorgos Lanthimos, who made Poor Things and then followed that up pretty quickly with a movie that not a lot of people saw, Kinds of Kindness. And I'm a little bit hot or cold with Yorgos. I sometimes love his films, sometimes I'm not very high on them. Ever since I read the plot of this one, I've been really fascinated by it. It's based on a foreign film. It's kind of an American remake, and it's about two conspiracy theorists who think that the CEO of a company is an alien. One of those conspiracy theorists is played by Jesse Plemons, one of the best actors working today. And I hear early chatter is that he is going to be put forth by the studio as the leading man. If he
Oh,
is able to get a nomination for Best Lead Actor, I will be so excited. But you asked about Emma Stone, and yeah, it would be great to see her get yet another nomination as well. She's so good.
you see, I think if I were the studio, I might want him for supporting supporting spot as far as award season goes.
I think it might be a safer bet to put him in supporting, but at a certain point, if he has all the screen time, it might not make sense to give him supporting instead of lead.
What was it, Civil War or something that he had such little
Yep.
screen time in, and I really wasted my night there. I was not crazy about that movie either. But he's an amazing actor, and these award folks, they love him.
And they should. He looks like a normal person. He's
Hmm.
not absolutely gorgeous like Brad Pitt, which I love. He's there because he's uber talented. When he showed up in Civil War, that was the most investing 10 minutes of the entire movie, and he
Yeah,
carried
great.
the entire thing. He's unbelievable.
I leaned over. Jake and I saw that movie together. I leaned over to Jake and I went at some point, just Jesse Plemons in this movie because we knew Jesse Plemons was in the movie, but he just hadn't showed up yet. It was getting utterly ridiculous, actually, about how little we were going to see of him. And yeah, he ended up but playing a terrible person. But that's the great thing about him. He plays all kind of people, and you believe him because he's a lot like us. Now, look, you and I outkicked our coverage with our spouses. He really outkicked his coverage with his spouse. Um, Continuing on, let's go to one that's has already been out. It's been out, I think, since March or April, and that's Sinners. And this was a movie that you were looking for quite some time, and I believe it reached up to your expectation too, correct?
It did overall. I certainly don't think it's perfect. I had my share of problems with it. However,
Okay.
I do believe that you won't find to this point in the year a better looking and a better sounding movie. The technical achievement of that film is incredible. It looks so good. And also it's a genre movie that I think could easily have been like a B movie that just kind of comes and goes, but it's made so well that it has staying power. And even though I say I have problems with it, I want more movies exactly like that one.
Okay. All right. But I thought that you were a little bit higher on it, but I'm glad that you were able to explain. Now, look, we're back here for the final chapter of the Wicked thing, I believe. Is that right? Wicked for Good. And it's coming out Thanksgiving night. Prepared to see Cynthia win Best Actress this time. And I hadn't even seen some of these movies like Rose Byrne's in a movie I want to get to here in a little bit as well. But I'm just not a fan of this whole Wicked franchise deal. I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm over it as well.
Me too. As far as last year goes, obviously Amelia Perez was my least favorite of the 10, but Wicked was in second play, second to last. To me, it's just extremely CGI heavy. I know they did some of it practically, but I just couldn't get into it. It's not for me. I know people who are really big fans of the Broadway show love it, but I don't have any pre-existing affection for the play, so it didn't work for me.
Okay. Uh, we are on the same page there, and I'm not surprised that we're on the same page. Now, Neon Films also has that movie about just an accident, or what's the title of it exactly?
It was just an accident.
It was just an accident. Now, this makes their bench pretty strong when you think about sentimental value, The Secret Agent, and this film. They can make some noise, and this film can make some noise. The director's Jennifer, right? In that in her name or no?
Is that Panahi? I thought it was named
That's it.
after.
Panahi
Yeah.
is. I don't know how don't know how to say that last name either. This is middle of October that it is coming out, and sometimes I had to wear my readers to look at my notes. It's in Persian
Okay.
language. This could definitely be another one of these foreign film, but this could also get a nomination too for best picture. And what I'm understanding is that she has a shot to be in the category for best director. As far as am I saying it's a he in it? And I keep
Yeah.
saying she, but it's a
Jafar
he.
Jafar Panahi.
Jafar or something is I believe is how you say his name.
I think it's Jafar Panahi. And yeah, Neon has been on fire ever since Parasite. Every single year they have a really strong slate and they're getting stronger and stronger. And I remember just hearing the most rave reactions to this one. I think this one might have been the one from Cannes this year. I might have been wrong about sentimental value. I'm pretty sure this one picked up some really big awards. And I do think that it'll make an appearance, at least an international film, but it could even make its way into the best picture race.
They could have two films duking it out for each other for that best international film. I mean, I find it hard to believe there's two or three better movies better out there than them. They could both end up being nominated in the top 10 for the best picture, but they certainly, to me, are going to get nominated for best foreign film.
I will say you got to keep in mind Park Chan-wook, one of the best Korean filmmakers, has a movie coming out this year called No Other Choice. Whenever he
Okay,
makes something, you got to keep that in mind.
that's true.
Every time he makes something, it's really phenomenal.
That's true. There's one more movie, and I kind of hinted at it a little bit when I mentioned Rose Byrne. I believe it's Australian, fabulous actress. It's this movie is coming out in October. So if I had legs, I'd kick you. I'm thinking that you probably have done some research on this, and I have a little bit of anticipation. I always let you know when I have anticipation for a movie, and I have a little bit of anticipation. I'm usually a fan of the A24 movies. That's why Marty Supreme. I'm kind of excited about Christmas. I'm sort of excited about this movie as well.
Yeah, I don't know much about it. I know it by title alone. I've just heard some strong reactions to it, and I've heard it could be a contender, but I really have not actually done much research.
Little unfair for me to ask you now, and we'll have you back before when we have a better idea of what movies we're going to be nominated. We'll have you back. But I believe that's what I like to do is like to get you back in December before several get in the theater, or either late November, if that's cool with you. But if you could pick five right now, just right now, that you think are gimmies for Best Picture, and remember, you have possibility of up to 10, but just give us five. What five would you go with right now?
Sinners and One Battle After Another, I think, are both making it, which is two Warner Bros. Films. Like I said, they're killing it.
And they've either out right now or already have been released, those two.
Yes, yes. And then as far as upcoming ones, because I am allowed to include those, right? That I feel
Yeah.
are going to be nominated. Hamnet will definitely be nominated. I think we will see. Oh man, I want to get this right. I'm thinking we are going to see It Was Just an Accident, and then I only get one more, and I'm gonna guess Marty Supreme. I think that those
Okay. But no, My House of Dynamite doesn't make it though with Catherine Bigelow.
not quite. I can see that one coming and going.
Okay. And once again, there'll be nine or 10, and I was just giving you an opportunity to name five. So it could be there. So, Daniel, I'll ask you kind of what we talked about and speculated last year. Generally, most of the movies come at us from Thanksgiving to the end of the new year. There are a lot of these movies that we've talked about tonight being released in October. Is this a strategy from the movie companies to get them in the theater a little bit quicker?
I definitely think so. It's good to have some runway. And I'm not sure exactly when movies perform the best, but I tend to see a trend where January and February, there's not as many people going to the movies. And so I think it's good to utilize like Q4 instead of Q1. And so they're putting things up there in October and utilizing the final 3 months of the year. And I think that is enough to gin up the most enthusiasm possible before the awards actually come around at the very beginning of the following year.
You were a frequent visitor to AMC 13 in Opelika, Alabama when you were a student at Auburn, and there is a scene in the movie that in the book That Winter Wind that takes place at the AMC in Opelika, Alabama. So I hope that will bring a smile to your face when you get there because you'll know exactly the spot where Miles is attending that movie. So I hope that yeah, and it's a zombie movie that I found that was coming out a couple of 3 years from now or so, maybe 2 years from now, because I had to find something that matched up with the timing that we were in and then. So before we leave, give us a prediction for your Auburn Tigers against the Georgia Bulldogs when they meet at Jordan Hare.
I don't think it's going to go well. I will say, seeing Georgia fall to a pretty mediocre Alabama it makes me feel like it won't be an absolute shutout. However, I would predict that we'll lose by 10 to 17.
Wow. If my Ohio State Buckeyes can find a way to win another national championship, you'd be cool with that, right?
No, but but they're really good this year, unfortunately.
And I thought they were going to be good. I just didn't know they were going to be this good. And what I was kind of talking about was they lost so many players from last year, and they did bring in some help from the transfer portal, but they lost high character guys too. And those guys like Emeka Abuka and Travion Henderson and JT Tulamulu and Jack Sawyer, you can't replace that kind of character. But so far, so good, especially on the defensive side. Now, look, Julian saying we'll see what he does on the road in Ann Arbor and that kind of environment. And they're going to have to face a angry Penn State team down the road who somehow got beat by Oregon after coming back from 14 points down in the final few minutes to force overtime, took the lead in overtime at home, whiteout. I thought it was a rule, Daniel, that Penn State had to win all their whiteout games.
You thought it was written in the script?
It did. I really did. All right. So we've discussed a lot, before I let you go, we've discussed a lot of these movies that could be up for award season. How about one that maybe just as a fun movie to go see that people could look for in the theater that's not necessarily up for these major awards, something that you've seen, or either something that you might have seen recently at a theater that might be coming to a streaming service?
Okay, yeah, sounds good. So there's one that I don't think is going to get enough attention. It already kind of came and went. It's called Sorry Baby. It's a directorial debut from a really, really phenomenal actress, actually, who's done some TV work, and she is the star, the writer, and the director. It tells the story of a girl who's getting over something traumatic in her life, and I just thought it was phenomenal. And it's really unique in that it doesn't just make this character a subject of trauma. She still cracks jokes. She still is living life, but that's kind of looming for the entire movie. And I thought it was really touching, but really funny as well. And I'm really excited to see what this filmmaker does in the future. So that one, and there's one that I feel like I have to shout out that's coming out in a couple of weeks. It's called Shelby Oaks and it's directed by Chris Stuckman, who I have like a personal debt to. He's a YouTube film critic, one of the best in that space, and he really played a big part in just like allowing me to fall deeper and deeper in love with movies when I was in high school. And so he's been talking for years and years about how he wanted to be a filmmaker, and he finally has one coming out. And so anyone who sees this, I just want that movie to do really well so he gets to make another one.
Okay, well, if it happens to land in the theater, we'll see it. If it doesn't, we'll stream it, and we'll certainly look for Sorry Babe, I believe was the initial one that you said.
Yep, sorry, baby.
Sorry Baby, because she did yeoman's work on that, it sounds like. Incredible. Daniel, I always appreciate it. Like we said, I think November, so many of these movies coming out in October and earlier part of November. I think late November, early December is a great time to have you. And then once we know the nominations, of course, we'll have you back as well.
That sounds great. As always, I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come and talk way too much
Uh,
about movies. It's what I love doing.
Absolutely love it. For my sensational producer, Jake Barton, who is in Noonan, Georgia, and for Daniel Cummings, who is tonight in Dallas. I'm Tony Jones. Thank you so much for tuning in. Next week, Danny Art returns right here to Talking with Tony.
All right, great. We got
And
the
Jake,
we got the end.
Jake, you don't have to find B-roll to every single movie we talked about, but if you can get to some of them, that would be nice.
Okay. Yeah, I already pulled them up. 99. I didn't get the last three, but we'll yeah. We'll see. I'll just listen to you
I,
guys and
I have such high expectations for this Hamnet because that's about the tragic death of Shakespeare's kid who was 10 or 11, believe died. So I think that'll be great. Chloe is a really, really, really good director, and everybody knows that. But I asked you about, because I think that Jessie Buckley is phenomenal as well.
I think she is really phenomenal. And also, I think playing Shakespeare's son at two different stages of his life, I believe Noah Jupe is one of them. He's one of the best really young actors working right now. He's like, I want to say like 5 years younger than me or something, but he's been in movies. He was in A Quiet Place, and so he's been in movies since he was a really, really young kid. And he's really excellent too. So I just think that it's got all the bones to be a major contender.
Well, keep me updated on your progress with the book. Are you going to get a few chapters tonight in?
I don't know about tonight, but my wife is working the next 2 nights, and so I should be able to get some really good progress.
Well, it doesn't surprise me how wonderful of a husband you are because if she's at home, you take up, time with her and y'all hang out and do, fun stuff. And I'm glad she went and saw the Brad Pitt movie. And I thought it was really good. I did.
Good.
I kind of make a big deal when a movie exceeds my expectations, and that exceeded my expectation. More so than the Mission Impossible, which I thought these last two Mission Impossibles were as good as anything we'd seen since like the first one. I thought not this last one, but the one right in front of it, I thought was a little bit better than the second one. But when a movie exceeds my expectations, like the original Black Phone does, it registers with me, it stays with me, it resonates with me.
Right. And for that reason, I really try to keep my expectations low. I really try to manage my expectations so everything hopefully outperforms what I'm looking for. But every once in a while, like when PTA makes a movie, my expectations are through the roof, and there's nothing I can do about it because he's never failed me. And so I'm just in a position to be disappointed, but he has yet to do that. He has yet to do that to me.
That's cute. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tonight to both of you. And Jake, tomorrow night's your game night, right?
yep.
All right. Well, enjoy that, and I will talk to you soon, Daniel. Does that sound good?
That sounds great. We'll keep in touch.
All right. Great seeing both of you. Catch y'all
Thank
later.
y'all. We'll see y'all.
Good
Bye
night.
bye.